Hello, I'm Dr. Len Saputo, and I'm here with Frank Cuny, who is the founder of the California Citizens for Health Freedom Organization. Frank, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you.
My pleasure being here.
You know, you started this organization some years ago. What was the year you actually started?
That was about almost 20 years ago.
20 years ago. And what's the purpose of California Citizens for Health Freedom?
California Citizens for Health Freedom is a 501c4 nonprofit legislative advocacy organization advocating for the right of citizens to have access to safe and effective health and environment.
So you're here to try and make a change in the system that we have, which really limits us primarily to Western medicine.
Yes, but we've also been limited to not only Western medicine, but also health enhancement areas, and we've been limited to some features of Western practices like mercury fillings and fluoride in water, issues like that we've been involved somewhat with over the years.
So there's a reason why it's California Citizens for Health Freedom, so that people have the choice of the kind of health care that they would like to have.
Well, we were initially formed after the federal act was passed on nutritional vitamins. The vitamin war was explained on it, and a number of the board of directors members approached me and said, we have the worst laws in the state of California for citizens, and would I please form a California organization to work to change those laws so that forward-looking physicians and practitioners of health would be able to practice more freely within the state, and their services would be of greater access to citizens.
And how much of a problem did we have with the California Medical Board interfering with that process?
Well, it was more of the medical establishment that would be part of the process. Medical board is elected to supervise and to oversee the laws of the state that they're in, so that if you have poor laws within the state, they may be doing their job, but it's essentially not their jobs to change the law or to misinterpret the law. And the laws were pretty much outdated at that particular time and needed to be upgraded so that more freedom would exist in California. California, of course, is one of the leading states in the nation, both for size and economy. And as we change the laws and get the organizations in the state functioning better, then laws and functioning in other states also follow suit and change.
So you've had a role that's really multifactorial. You've been trying to be responsive to the citizens of California to give them health freedom. You're working with the doctors, both conventional and unconventional, to try and find ways to bring their practices forward. And you've been really close and have been a liaison with the California Medical Board, who now you have a very good relationship with.
Well, I've been at almost every medical board meeting for a great number of years, and I think I've been recognized, they have said I've been recognized as a citizen spokesman, because very few citizens ever attend the medical board meetings.
Exactly.
And because their meetings are held at 4 times in different locations from Southern California to Northern California, most citizens are unable to travel that distance to have steady input to the medical board.
I'm often stunned at how this man almost single-handedly has pioneered a lot of the changes that we're seeing in California law that have made it possible for naturopaths to be licensed, for medical doctors to have a lot more freedom in conventional alternative medicine practice, to bring midwives forward to be able to do what they do, and has blocked a lot of legislation that could have severely limited the nutritional and other kinds of therapies that are possible in California. And it's surprising even more so at how few doctors have joined with you. It's just a handful. And with your persistence in going back and forth to Sacramento and to meet with various legislators and with various boards, you've made a big change, Frank. It's really wonderful to have someone like you who's an advocate that's not getting rich off the system. You're hardly, living off this corporation wouldn't be possible.
No, it would not be possible. We have very limited income, and if I didn't have my Social Security, which at times I have to use to support the organization, we wouldn't be able to move forward.
So where do you see California Citizens for Health's big achievement in the next year or two?
Well, when it was first formed, the original board stated we have the problem of the cancer bill, cancer in California, which makes it a criminal offense for innovative, effective physicians to do alternative treatment of cancer. And they said that was one law that needed to be changed. A second law, which was probably a greater impact, was that it stated in the Business and Profession Code that physicians were licensed to practice conventional medicine. So if a physician was facing, let's say, an attention deficit disorder child and family, and said, let's work on allergy problems to start with.
Right.
And let's change the nutritional patterns within the family. That would be non-conventional medicine, rather than, let's put them on this set of drugs, Ritalin, and go that process.
Exactly.
And we also had the same on senior citizens would apply. If they were coming in and had aging problems, and they said, let's work on the diet and work on those particular changes, rather than the type of drugs that could possibly be given to them. That would be non-conventional medicine. And we had a number of physicians, not a huge number, but a number of them that were disciplined by the medical board in that process. And it took us probably 8 years to be able to finally get the bill forward. We had several bills go in, and it was always killed in committee. Yeah. And the result was that when we approached the possible sponsor, Senator Vasconcellos, to support the bill, he met with representatives of the medical board, the medical association, the consumer's attorney, and myself, and said, I want to put this type of bill in. And they said, forget it, Senator. It'll never pass. We will oppose it. And he told them to get out of his office.
That wasn't quite how he said it, but right.
Rather bluntly.
Yeah.
And he put a study bill in requiring the medical board to set up a study committee composed of board members, strictly, and to look at certain issues. And the issues was, how do they treat physicians who practice non-conventional medicine? Are their policies and procedures of the board bad? Are there recommendations they need to change in that process? And that committee met 4 times, I believe, and we had a number of individuals from the medical association attending, giving their viewpoint, and we had our team of people approaching, which was some physicians, myself, and after the 4 half-day meetings, the chairman of the committee said, we believe that physicians ought to be able to practice non-conventional medicine.
Exactly.
And my response to her is, you may believe it, but the law will never get passed because it doesn't have the right sponsor. And they said, who should sponsor such a bill? And I said, the medical board ought to sponsor it.
Beautiful.
Because they have sponsored bills in the past. And she agreed and took the results, what the committee wanted, to the medical board, and the medical board sponsored the bill. And this is highly unusual that a medical board sponsors a bill on non-conventional medicine. It was the first breaker in the nation, and the bill passed very easily. It only had 2 votes of opposition, and it was signed by the outgoing governor, Davis, and the incoming governor, Schwarzenegger, and became effective in the state of California.
Well, what you achieved, see, is something here that's spectacular. The California Medical Board is a group of people trying to do the right thing, and I'm glad you pointed that out. They uphold the law. But they understand the situation as well, and it's your negotiations with them and their support that you finally gained that made this difference. And I can tell you, as a practicing physician, what this means to me. Because now I'm able to practice any way that I want to treat most conditions, with the exception probably of cancer, the way I want, so long as, 1, I don't interfere by convincing people to do therapies other than what are in the mainstream, and 2nd, I don't hurt anybody. That's a lot of latitude, and it puts the responsibility back on the doctor's shoulders where it belongs. So that accomplishment was a major breakthrough.
Yes, there were safeguards put in there under the law. The physician was responsible for telling the patient what their background, what his background is, and also what some of the research is to show that the treatment that he's advocating and how long the treatment comes and effective. Otherwise, safeguards were built into the law as we had requested.
Well, Frank, I want to thank you very much for sharing this information, because it's information we all need to know about. California Citizens for Health Freedom is an organization of the people, and it supports us all, whether we're citizens, just plain old ordinary citizens, or we're doctors or complementary alternative practitioners. So I look at this as a major thing that has my full support, and I'm honored to be one of the board members. Thank you so much for being here today, Frank.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of citizens don't know about this law, but a lot of physicians don't know about the law.
Right.
And the result is they are not willing to move into the new area of science that has come about with the research that has been done on the use of nutritional products and vitamins and herbs and that process.
Well, if you keep this work up, and I intend to work with you to continue to do this, California Citizens for Health is going to make some major changes.